With the new season of You coming out in February, I thought it would be a good idea to take a look back at the previous season and share some of my thoughts and opinions on the last season of the show. Season 3 of You, there was a lot going on. We had Joe and Love Quinn moving with their new family to a new city to start a new life and kind of escape their murders from the previous season. And what ends up happening is that it all ends up catching up towards them because they can't get away from their murder like tendencies and their sociopathy basically. For example, literally the first few minutes of the first episode of the show, Joe already has a new target for himself, even though he has found pretty much the person that would understand him the most ever, in love by the fact that she is literally just as crazy as him and also kills just like him. So you would think it's a match made in heaven, but apparently not. It follows a very similar premise from all the other seasons where Joe obsesses over someone that he just happens to see and feels like they're the perfect match for them or match for him. But what's different this time around is the fact that Love is by his side and she's also just as crazy as him and maybe even a little bit more emotional than him, which is why in season 3 we see her do a lot of killings and we get to see exactly her thought process or lack thereof when she decides to kill someone. So while they have moved to a new town to get away from the murders that basically bonded them and formed the basis of their relationship, they end up starting to kill over here as well. Joe kills a lot less in this season, but he ends up having to cover up a lot of Love's murders because if he doesn't tie up her loose ends, his murders will start to catch up to him as well, and he obviously doesn't want to be found out. On top of that, he is trying his best supposedly to get away from all these murders and leave that part of him behind, and he starts to feel like Love is a representation of his past and he starts to resent her for this. What I think is really funny is the fact that he kind of hates that Love is constantly killing and going crazy essentially and not trusting him when in fact he doesn't trust her and she is doing the exact same thing that he's done before, but when she does it he has a problem with it, mostly because it's foiling his plan to maintain a new perfect life, which he feels like she is causing more problems than solving them, and also she's no longer the person that he has his obsession towards anymore, because maybe it's because he now has her or because of his neighbor that he now is attracted to for whatever reason. I feel like Joe has a problem with the fact that Love does all these murders because now it does not serve him and he just ends up having to clean up her messes, and so basically he's dealing with the after effects. He doesn't get to deal with the thrill of the kill and he doesn't have necessarily an attachment to or the same motive as Love does when it comes to killing these people. And I believe in terms of the characters in season 3, it looks like most of them I think will not reappear in the new season. It's possible that Sherry and Carrie might show up at some point since they are kind of famous and capitalizing on their previous experience, which I think the cage experience that they went through together made them more interesting characters. I think they were really funny characters to begin with and they kind of provide a comedic relief. And then when they were put into that cage together and they ended up shooting each other and fighting each other for survival, Jerry and Carrie throughout the entire season show how much they love and care for each other, and when that love is tested in that cage, they turn on each other, but they end up coming out stronger than ever before, and they end up just capitalizing on all of that, and they kind of become famous with their TED Talks, and they probably do courses or something on being caged with couples and making your relationship stronger through that experience. In terms of the character Theo, so the thing with Theo and a lot of the characters in season 3, I feel like there were a lot more witnesses to what was happening, the murders, or season 3 left off with a lot of loose ends in terms of a lot of people were aware of the fact that Love or Joe or both of them were involved in nefarious. So I feel like it is possible for these characters to make a reappearance, but I don't think Theo would care to do anything like that, especially for him. I think he experienced a lot of trauma from his experience with Love, and I don't think he would try to chase after her, but it's possible that the other characters like Sherry and Carrie may try to at least keep tabs or try to figure out where these people are, or they may just kind of continue their money-making machine and just enjoy the ride and try to leave behind everything else. With Marienne, they show her in season 4, so yes, she will be making an appearance it seems, but I don't think that she'll be really important based off the trailer. I think it's just to carry the story along, and at some point she will disappear, whether that's murder or something else, I don't know. I just feel like Joe's gonna have bigger issues and bigger fish to fry in the next season, and especially if they want to keep things interesting, because I feel like they are just repeating the same concept, but this time they used a person of color as his love interest or obsession, or I feel like they had to choose someone that was a little bit different, so they had to spice things up with a little bit of color and the fact that she is a single mom in order for us to stay interested. Otherwise it seemed like he was just going after white women in every single season. In terms of Love and Marienne, I feel like when Love confronted her, I don't think she would have actually cared too much that she had a kid with her. I think she probably still would have killed her, but they needed to have her live on in order to kind of continue the plot. And even though it looks like she won't be the main obsession in the new season, I think they needed that in order to transition into the new season. And in terms of the ending for season 3, I did like it. However, I was also like, how is this stuff all happening? It felt like he just had like a power up compared to Love and ended up one-upping her, but at the same time, maybe he's just been doing this for a lot longer, his killings and stuff like that, whereas Love was more new to the game, I guess. I think Joel was really calculated from the very beginning, to be honest, and it kind of shows because when he decides to take adrenaline to counteract the poison of the flowers or whatever it was that she was growing in her backyard. In terms of what I think is going to happen in season 4, I think it could go in so many different ways, but I again don't think Marienne is going to be a center for the plot at all. In fact, I think he's going to have bigger fish to fry. And it seems like Joe is still going to have issues with just randomly obsessing over someone when he sees them. I don't understand like what the logic is, but he just feels, it seems like he just has to be fixated on someone in order to like move with his life. But it looks like in the setting that he's in, he's around a bunch of rich, well-connected people, which means that more eyes and resources on him or against him or not in his favor. So I think it's going to be a lot of trying to be extremely careful, because these people that are higher in power probably also have their own secrets to hide, and so they'll probably be really aware of their surroundings and probably also look into everyone around them. So I almost feel like when some of these higher up students or whatever this environment is going to be in, it looks like a university, some of these people will have done research on him, and when they find nothing on him or have trouble finding anything on him, then I think they'll probably pen further and try to figure out what his background is for their own purposes, not necessarily because they have a problem with him or his weird obsessive tendencies. Because so far in all the other seasons, we don't really see that he's obsessive or from the third person or the other person's perspective. He comes off generally normal and always has really good lies to cover up like where he is, why he's where he is and stuff like that. But I think with these characters, they're going to have their own reasons and own motivations for trying to figure out the people around them and trying to use them in their own game to move themselves further along in their own goals. So I'm sure the other characters will also have a lot to hide and a lot of other secrets, so it won't be like a random girl at a bookstore as it was in season 1 with Beck. I think it's really funny that the only thing that he changed about his appearance so far, it seems in the new season, is that he has a beard. But when he first goes into Paris, it looks like he went in just as himself, even though he has been on the news before in the previous season. So I feel like he's not really keeping a low profile by not changing his appearance at all, but we'll see. I think that there's going to be a lot more twists and turns in the new season, but let's see what happens. There's going to be 2 parts, so I might make a review when the next part comes out, or I'll wait for the whole season to complete and then make a review. Just let me know what you would like or prefer. Also, I watched Ginny and Georgia and I really like the show, so let me know if you want me to do a review of that show. In the meantime, I know this is a different video for me, but let me know what you thought in the comments below and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.